How Money Works, a common sense guide to financial success. You can get out of debt, you can build savings, and you can get on the path to financial independence. The first step is take control. You cannot control the future of Social Security, your employer, your taxes, inflation, rising costs, the risk of any one single investment, but there are things you can control, like saving your money for retirement, or rather than worrying about your employer, you have other sources of income. Taxes, take advantage of tax ways to reduce your taxes. Inflation, maximize savings. Rising costs, save more. The risk of a single investment, diversify your investment choices. So there's 7 steps to taking control. The first one is called pay yourself first. Put yourself at the front of the line when it comes to your money. Number 2 is adjust your priorities. Make a decision what's important to you. Rather than the new car or the new boat, then maybe it's more important you put your money toward saving for your children's college. You got to change your thinking. The thinking and the mindset of getting ahead has to do with making a decision. What is that decision? You make the decision you want to save rather than spend. Number 4, adjust your lifestyle. You can't have everything. What you have to do is look at your lifestyle and say, realistically, with what I earn, can I save money and move forward? Number 5, earn additional income. Additional income is always that extra money that if you live within your means, below your means, on your regular income, that additional income can be the key to saving money. Number 6, avoid the credit trap. Never borrow things where the item that you purchase goes down in value. That would include cars, credit card purchases like your vacations and Christmas and stuff like that. Number 7, set a goal and have a plan. So the first step is pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep. Calculate how much money you've earned and how much you have saved. So if you take that and look in this first column A, and you say, I've averaged $50,000 a year, and I've worked for 20 years. So at that point, you have earned $1 million. That's C. Take a look at your personal savings, the amount of money that you've accumulated, and divide that by C, and that's going to give you the percentage of income that you've actually saved. First time I ever did this, I was like, man, this is terrible. And then I started focusing on making sure that every single time I earn money, that I make sure something goes into savings. Where does the savings go? There are 3 accounts that you need. The first account is an emergency fund. That's 3 to 6 months of liquid cash. You might put that in a bank or a money market account, but that keeps you in a position where if something happens, a job loss or some type of emergency, you're able to survive and not go in debt and not lose things. The second thing is short-term savings. Short-term savings is for things like future purchases. Say you want to buy a car and not have a car payment. The key to that is to start saving now, or your vacation or Christmas. You begin saving every month, and that's what I call a put and take account. You put it in and you take it out. You put it in and you take it out. And then the third one is your long-term savings and investments. That would be retirement planning, college planning. So what we want to do is we want to divide these accounts up and make sure that they stay focused on exactly those things. The third thing that you need to be using is time and consistency. Time and consistency, time and a consistent savings plan is the key to developing wealth. Starting early is very important. It pays to start investing early. Here's an example of a one-time investment. If you start out at 9%, 3 different people. If that money was invested, all right, at 40 years old, a one-time investment at 9% at age 67 is $11,000. Now, if that one-time investment of $1,000 was put aside at 16 years old, by age 67, it's $96,000. If that one-time $1,000 was invested at birth and was sitting for 67 years, it will be worth $406,000. So it pays to start investing early. Don't pay the high cost of waiting. Here's another example. If you want to save $500,000 for retirement at age 67, here's the difference. If you begin at age 25, all you have to set aside is $89 a month. But if you wait 10 years, you have to save $224 a month. If you wait 20 years, you have to save $600 a month, which is 7 times more than if you started at 25. And if you wait until you're 55, it's really too late. You have to save $1,926 per month to equal what somebody started at age 25 only had to save $89 per month. So don't pay the high cost of waiting. Understand the power of compound interest. Here's another example about compound interest. If you put your money aside, this is with a 7% return, a one-time $10,000 investment. If you just leave it for 40 years, it'll grow to $163,000. Or another way you can look at it is it didn't cost you 10 grand that you spent, it cost you $163,000 that you lost because you didn't put that money aside and get it working for you. Just a little more grows even faster. Let's take a look at this. Let's say you're putting aside $20 a month and you do that for 10 years, you're going to have $3,900. By 40 years later, you're going to have $94,000. But what if you did $100 a month? It would be $471,000. And I know that people blow money all the time. What is $100? I mean, we go through $100 all the time. So get an automatic savings plan in order to make that happen. Now, let's talk about compound interest and the rule of 72. When I first saw this, I had no idea what the rule of 72 is, but it's a mathematical formula that says if you take any interest rate, divide it into the number 72, it'll tell you how long it takes your money to double. So if you go to the bank right now and you're getting 1% at the bank, it takes 72 years for your money to double. So hard to get ahead when you do that. At 3%, if you'll see on this chart, in 24 years, your money doubles. And so if you take 10,000, 24 years later it's 20,000, 48 years later it's 40,000. I always thought if I doubled my rate, I would double my money, but it doesn't work like that. At 6%, you can see it doubles in 12 years, and rather than 40,000, you have 160,000. But what if you could get 12% on your money? And there's places that actually do that and have been doing that for years. At 12%, your money doubles every 6 years, and the $10,000 is $2,560,000. So let's take a look at this. 3 people begin with 10 grand. 48 years later, they're at retirement. One has 40,000, another has 160,000, and the last one has 2,560,000. What's their life going to be like? What's their children's life going to be like? Let's talk about another example. Let's say you put aside some money for, say, your children, and you put this aside, and you leave it there at 3% versus 6% versus 9%. At 3%, that $1,000 is $7,400 at age 67. But at 6%, it goes to $55,000. But at 9%, it goes to $406,000. So you can imagine, what if you got 12%, what it would be like. So the importance of rate of return is the key, along with consistent savings. How doubling your interest can quadruple your savings. So let's say you put aside $100 a month, and you do that for 40 years at 4.5% versus 9%. It's the difference in $175,000 versus $746,000. So think through this, guys. If you're wanting to get ahead, you got to make sure and get all you can get out of your savings. The next thing I'm going to talk about is pay off your debt. Paying off debt and eliminating consumer debt is the key to getting ahead. Debt is a cancer that keeps you from saving money. It eats away at your life. You know, I've always been told that the difference between your income and your outgo, that gap, is called quality of life. So if you're right here all the time, your quality of life goes down. If you have a big gap, you have a great quality of life. And so what we're going to do now is talk about paying off debt. First off, you got to understand how debt works. And one of the worst things that's happening right now is credit card debt. That, along with student loan debt, are destroying people. So if you make a one-time $3,000 purchase on a credit card, if it's at 18%, and some of them are 20, 21%, 24%, with no new purchases, and pay the minimum payment, it would take you 10 years to pay it off, and you'd end up paying over $5,000 on something that more than likely you don't really remember or you don't even have anymore. For instance, you decide you want to go on vacation and you spent $3,000. You really shouldn't have done that. You put it on your credit card, you pay the minimum payments. 10 years later, your vacation's been gone for 10 years and you paid $5,002. So what you have to understand about getting out of debt is the difference between revolving debt and fixed debt. So let's take a look at what revolving debt does. Revolving debt, every month as you pay, it revolves. And what it does is it refinances. And what that means is that you have the same length of time of debt The only difference is your payment goes down. So you start out, in this example, you owe $17,000 at 18%, and you pay $595, okay? Out of that $595, every month you're going to see your payment go down. It's going to take you 17 years and 2 months to pay it off, and you're going to pay $12,500 just in interest. Let's take the same 18%, but let's fix the payment at the same amount. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pay it off in 3 years and 2 months, and you're going to pay $5,000 in interest versus $12,500 in interest. So if you want to get ahead and get out of debt, set up a set amount of money every month to go out, so you don't end up having the debt go down and the payment go down. That's the difference in revolving and fixed debt. How do we go about doing this? Well, it's called the debt stacking concept. And what happens is we get, our attitude is the key to getting out of debt. If you think you can do something in anything you try, you can pretty well do it. And so the more credit cards that you have, the more negativity you have in your life, the more debt payments and stuff like this. So let's say you're in a situation right now, you've accumulated a credit card, a retail card, you got a car loan, you got another credit card, and you got your mortgage. And your total outlay is about $2,700 a month. So any additional money that you target, we would target toward this lowest balance, and we apply it. So the first thing, you owe $220 on credit card number one, we're going to apply that money and target that. Then once that's paid off, we're going to take the $220 and we're going to apply it to the next one. And then we're going to take that $573 and apply it to the next one. Then we're going to add the $551 plus the $573, we're going to apply it to the next one, do the same thing all the way throughout. Eventually, everything is being applied to what? Your mortgage, and you get yourself out of debt. So what happens is you target all of your additional money toward the balance that's lowest. Once you pay that balance off, guess what? You're excited. You have one less debt going out, one less bill coming in the mail. And so then you apply it. It's called the debt stacking. Now here's what happens without debt stacking. 23 years to pay it off. You didn't avoid any interest. You paid $214,000 and your payment was $2,700 a month. If you debt stack, here's what happens. 9 years rather than 23 years, which is 14 years sooner, you save $130,000 in interest. You pay, rather than $214,000, you pay $80,000. And you pay the same payment. That makes sense. I think most people would agree. That's a smart concept. So if you're in debt right now, make sure and start applying the debt to the smallest balance, and any additional money that you have, put it against the smallest balance, and then start stacking them up, and it'll help you get out of debt. Now, pay attention to your credit. Avoid these credit mistakes. Not valuing your credit. Little things cause your interest rates to go up. For instance, if you don't pay your bills on time and you go try to get a mortgage, your credit score goes down and your interest rate goes up. That's just money that you didn't have to pay. How do I do my bills? I have a draft account where all of my bills are automatically paid. And so what happens is I don't even have to think about it. They just get paid automatically, so they're always on time. I don't have to worry about that. Raising credit card limits. The more debt you carry, the worse your credit goes. So you're limited. The more credit you use and limits on your credit cards especially, what's going to happen is your credit rating is going to go down. You need to pay attention to your credit history. You need to have a service that will monitor your credit history, and also it monitors any type of fraud that might be hitting your account. Number 4, not monitoring your credit score. Look at your credit score and then use a credit score improvement tool, which most of your credit companies have, that'll show you how to immediately raise your credit score. And the last thing is not knowing your interest rate and fees. I run into people all the time that all they have to do is refinance their house and save a point. 1% on a $200,000, that's $2,000 a year. All they got to do is just call a mortgage company and reduce it. Or maybe take their credit cards and start paying them down and find lower rates while you're paying them down. There's so many things that you can do in order to get out of debt. Buy the right life insurance. Life insurance is something that responsible people purchase, especially when they have children, debts, and mortgages. There's all different types of insurance. The first thing you ask yourself is what do you insure? Well, the first question is your car. We insure a car all the time, and if we lost our car, would it really devastate our family? It would be negative, but we could take a bus, we could take borrow somebody else's car, we could ride a bicycle. But we insure it, and we spend a lot of money on car insurance. Our house, well, we insure our house. How much is it worth? Well, it's worth a lot of money. It would be awful if something happened to your house and and it burned down and you lost your house. But you could move in with family. You could do something. You could rent something. The bottom line is it would be bad, but it wouldn't be devastating. But the question is this: how much is your life worth and your ability to earn money? Once your income earning potential leaves your family, there's no recovering. See, if you have a car and you lose your car and you're still working, guess what? You still have income. If you lose your house, you still have income. But if you die and you have children that can't take care of themselves or debts that need to be taken care of, there's no more turning back. That's where life insurance comes in. The theory of decreasing responsibility is a theory that says this: when you're young, you have young children, you have high debt and a mortgage, you're at your peak responsibility years, and the loss of income would be devastating to your family. So we recommend you buy term life insurance, a lot of it, in order to be able to protect your family until one day you get to retirement. You start saving money, use the theory of decreasing responsibility, and start saving money, use time and consistency. Get a better rate of return on your money, as we talked about. When you get older, now your kids are grown, your debts are paid, your mortgage may be paid off. At that time, you can reduce or drop your life insurance because you're financially independent. Here's what the experts say: term life is a better option for most people because it's much more affordable and offers insurance when it's most needed, meaning young. Here's another one. Term is the most affordable type initially purchased and provides protection for a specific period of time or the term. You can buy term insurance for as long as 35 years. So a 25-year-old can get your kids grown all the way to retirement and have a level premium. A rule of thumb is to buy coverage worth 10 times your income. So what I tell people is, if you're making 50 grand, add a zero to it. That's 500,000. You're making 30 grand, add a zero. You need 300,000. That's about how much coverage it's going to take in order to replace your income. So most families are over premiumed and underinsured. Let me give you an example. You buy life insurance per 1,000. When you buy life insurance per 1,000, it's like buying gas. All right, you go buy it by the gallon. We buy life insurance per 1,000. The only difference in gas and life insurance is nobody really knows how much it costs. So if you buy out of the industry average, you're going to pay $9.93 for life insurance, mostly cash value insurance, the kind that builds up savings, which is the wrong kind. You can buy term insurance for $3.53. Or another way you look at it, if you look at the average amount of coverage, if you buy cash value, it's $159,000. If you buy term, it's $233,000. So what happens is, when you buy the wrong insurance, you become underinsured. So our philosophy on life insurance: there's three nevers. Never buy any kind of cash value your whole life, including universal life. Number two, never buy life insurance as an investment. And number three, never buy a life insurance policy that pays dividends. If it says mutual on the company, it pays dividends. Dividends are nothing but an overpayment of premium, and they give you a piece of it back. It's not a real dividend. That's why your dividends are not taxed. Defer taxes. Let's talk about tax deferral. You know, we try in every way to cut our cost. But some people forget the biggest cost, and that is their taxes. So the government likes to get a piece of us, but they give us ways to defer or avoid taxes. So let me give you an example. If you take and you invest your money, this chart is going to show the difference in no taxes versus something where you get taxed on the return. That would be a Roth IRA, but everything else is tax deferred. Or you get no taxes on the contribution, pre-tax, and all of your savings are tax deferred. So here's three examples right here where an investment is made. The IRS is in the yellow, and they got most of your money. If you just defer the growth on your savings, like a Roth IRA, the middle one, you triple your money basically. And then the last one, you get another 50% by doing the same thing. So the power of tax-deferred savings. Now, what's the difference between deductibility and deferrability? We're talking about deductions and deferrals. A deduction is something you can subtract from your income before you pay your taxes. So let's say you have a 401k at work, or you have a deductible IRA and you put $5,000 into that and you made $80,000. Well, the IRS is going to say you didn't make 80, you're going to only get taxed on 75. So it reduces the amount of income that you're taxed on. So that's a deductibility. A deferral is a way for you to postpone paying taxes on earnings. One of the rules of thumb is never pay taxes on money you're not currently using. So how do you do that? You put it in your 401k at work, and when you put it in that 401k, as it grows, you pay no taxes on it. You only pay when you pull it out. You can put it in a deductible IRA, and it grows, and you never pay taxes until you pull it out. Or you can take and do a Roth IRA. Now, it's not deductible, but it grows tax-free and tax-free when you pull it out. Depending on your age, we make choices. Should we deduct it or should we do a Roth IRA? So there's several choices when you look at IRAs. You got to determine which one is best for you. And how do you do it? Your age, your amount of money that you're having saved, and if you're covered by a pension plan. We have a traditional IRA where it's pre-tax. You take it right off your income taxes. You can put $5,500 a year in that. If you're over 50, you can put $6,500 a year in it. You can do a traditional IRA where it's non-deductible. That's if you make too much money, but you have your money sitting in and you have a retirement plan. Or you can do a Roth IRA. It's non-deductible, but not taxed at withdrawal. So there's three options. And depending on your situation, you need to look at that and make a decision. And that's what we come in and we try to help you do. The traditional IRA, here's how it works. Tax savings now, tax deferred until you retire. It gives you and your spouse the potential to contribute $5,500 each. And it says if you meet certain requirements, right off the top of your gross taxable income. So it's going to reduce your income. And like I said earlier, if you're over 50, you can actually put $6,500 in. Traditional IRAs, they're non-deductible. What happens is this: you make too much money, and you're covered by a pension plan. So your non-deductible IRA, you don't get any upfront tax advantage, but all of it grows tax deferred until you pull it out after age 59 and a half. So a non-deductible IRA, everyone should do it if in fact you've already maximized your 401k through your work, or maybe your 403b if you're at a nonprofit. A Roth IRA. A Roth, the benefits, contributions are not deductible, but you receive tax deferral on the earnings and tax-free withdrawals later. Who should do that? If you're young and getting started and you're really a saver, I would recommend you do a Roth IRA. If you're at or near retirement, possibly, and you're a high income earner, you may be better off going ahead and doing the deductible IRA. Again, we can look at that and make that decision. So if you look at the chart here, this is going to give you what you can do with the traditional, what you can't do, and if it can be deducted. The difference mainly on a traditional IRA is it's deductible, but it's taxed when you pull it out, and you have to start taking distributions at 70 and a half. On the Roth, it's not deductible, it's tax deferred, but you never have to start pulling the money out. So we compare it and make decisions on that. Now let's talk about the time value of money. If you look at column A, this always blew my mind about starting early. Now here's an example that someone starts at age 22, they put $5,000 a year in, and they stop in 7 years. And then if you look at the bottom, how much money they have. Now let's go over here to the person that waits. They wait that 7 years, then they put the $5,000 a year in from then on out, and look what happens. The person that started after 7 years pretty well took care of themselves. I've always said if you're young getting started, assume you have one job, husband and wife, and save the other job. Do that for 5 years. You got $50,000 to $100,000 set aside. Time value of money kicks in, and you set yourself up for life. So sacrifice for a short period of time, get 50 to 100 grand set aside, and you're set for good. Now, we're going to go to the next portion, which is become an owner, not a loaner. Bypass the middleman. We take our money and we loan the money out. You know, we walk in the bank, we don't think of it, they call it a savings account. We take that money and we hand it over in the way of a loan. We loan it, they pay us interest. They in turn loan it back to us, and they might loan it back to us. They get it from us at a very low rate, and they loan it back on a house at maybe 4%, or a car at 7%, or a credit card at 18%. So I've always asked people, would it be better to own the bank or be a saver getting less than 1%? And everybody says, I'd rather own the bank because I know that they make money. So what you have to do is figure out a way to bypass the middleman. Why do you have to bypass the middleman? Because in many instances, you're not even breaking even with inflation. Now I'm going to show you an example here. If you put $10,000 aside at 4% rate of return at your local bank, which we can't get right now, you would earn $400. But then you pay taxes on it because you don't take advantage of tax deferral. 25% goes to taxes, so your net earnings are $300. But then inflation comes in at 3%. Guess what? You didn't make any money. So you put in the money. It says $10,300 after taxes, but in reality, you earn no gain. So here's what happens. There's 3 ways that you go about getting ahead and being set when you retire. We call it a 3-legged stool. One of the legs is pretty much gone, and that's company pensions. Very few places that you work now have a company pension that you don't pay into. Social Security, I would be worried about that, but it's still there, and I feel like Social Security will be there to some extent. So what do you have to do? Look at the personal savings side. It's up to you. You got to go save money. Now, don't just save it, invest it. This is an example of a $10,000 investment, compare it to inflation, to T-bills, which would be about like the bank, to bonds, and to the S&P 500. We always say to people, put your money in the market. Give yourself a chance. Invest with professional management. What is a mutual fund? A mutual fund is an opportunity for you, together with many other investors, to pool your money. Individual investors take their money, mutually fund it. That money is then invested in the global economy in stocks and bonds and different types of investments. So why a mutual fund? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, but the biggest thing is that you get professional money management. How do you go about investing in mutual funds? Well, there's 3 Ds of investing. A good way to keep your focus is think about dollar cost averaging, discipline, and diversification. So what is dollar cost averaging? Dollar cost averaging means that you put in money on a set basis every single month. So let's say you decide to put $100 a month in. The stock market goes up and it goes down. So as it's going up, that $100 buys less shares. When it's going down, it buys more shares. And over a long period of time, your average cost per share goes down by doing it monthly. So you do it monthly, every single month. We recommend that you have your money pulled out on a monthly basis through your checking account, or have it on a monthly basis through your 401k. The path to financial independence starts when you decide, and you decide to make a decision. The decision is, I want to save it, or do I want to spend it? Do I want to get ahead, or do I want to stay in trouble? I hope this money story that we've gone through today will inspire you to do something about it, because you can do it. The path to financial independence is possible. You can do it. Download How Money Works if you haven't already done that. We appreciate your time.